Michael Carrick is United's new interim head coach, and he's racing now to get United ready to face City in the derby on Saturday. And who knows, if he does well as an interim, he could become more than that.
It's a trap!
In today's video, I want to take a look at what Carrick did during his Middlesbrough stint and what we can really expect at United now and whether he's got the players to carry that out. But as always, drop a like if you enjoy, guys, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Let's go.
As Carrick takes charge at United, don't expect a revolution. Expect refinement. Carrick isn't a chaos manager. He's a control manager. His football is about structure, rhythm, and restoring United's ability to dominate games with the ball. Carrick's United will most likely line up in this 4-2-3-1 shape. In attacking play as United advance up the pitch, we're expecting to see this 3-2-5 shape, a lopsided one similar to what Kieran McKenna uses regularly at Ipswich. You're expecting normally the left-hand side for the left back to really go high and wide up the pitch. Then you've got the left winger inverting more into that number 10. A role which you'd expect would really suit someone like a Matthias Cunha. He's been very underwhelming for me so far at United. But it's these dynamics that I think will get the best out of him in this back four shape. So we're expecting to see a little bit more of him. Then you've also got then Diego Dalot coming into that back three to form that 3-2-5. I'm still expecting to see Mino making these sort of runs higher up the pitch, as Fernandes sometimes drops a little bit deeper. Carrick regularly at Middlesbrough used sort of rotating midfield, something that left his teams a little bit open on transition. But I do expect to see a lot of that in attack for United. We even saw it in that very brief spell where Carrick took charge of United up against Arsenal. Fred making those very, very good penetrating runs from deep. I expect someone like Mino to be able to do the same. We're expecting United to play out from deep consistently, even under pressure. Carrick does believe that that first phase of possession sets the tone for the entire match. So the goalkeeper becomes a passing option then. The pivot drops the receive and the aim is always the same. Draw the press, then play through it. This would be a big shift from United's recent transitional identity. We're expecting fewer long balls, fewer forced counters, and more calm circulation. And this is again where you throw in some players into question. Lamens, we haven't seen a lot of him playing out from the back. He had a little bit of a dodgy moment up against Brighton. So if Carrick now is going to be expecting his keeper to do more of that short passing, is Lamens up to that task? We still don't quite know yet. Carrick's teams in midfield would normally operate with a double pivot, one being that tempo setter and the other being the progressive midfielder. And their job then is to feed the number 10 whenever United are in that attacking phase. Obviously, it's not just all about the possession, but United under Carrick, you'd expect to really try and control where the game is played. And a player I'm really excited to see in his system is going to be Bruno Fernandes, because the number 10 for Carrick seems to be a non-negotiable. They drift between the lines, they arrive late into the opposition box, and they link midfield dominance to that goal threat then. At United, this role would be key to turning any sort of sterile possession for United into actual chances. And that's where Bruno Fernandes has thrived throughout his entire career. I want to keep seeing him playing a little bit higher up. Even in that Brighton game with Darren Fletcher, you saw Bruno Fernandes start to drift a little bit deeper at times, picking the ball from the centre-backs. I don't want to see too much of that anymore at United. We've got other midfielders like Mino that can do that job. Get Bruno Fernandes in that number 10 position. I do expect Carrick to do that. And unlike traditional wing-heavy United sides, I expect the wingers in Carrick's system to not just hug the touchline endlessly. I expect them to start wide at times to stretch the opposition defences, but then they've got that licence then to go in and attack those half spaces, combined with the number 10 and the fullbacks. Crosses would be a little bit more selective than what we've seen previously. Cutbacks, central combinations, and creating those overloads would be the absolute priority. And this just isn't about just the quantity of the chances you're going to create. This is also about the quality of them as well. It's out to possession though, where United have had a lot of the question marks given to them this season. And we just haven't been up to the standards of anywhere where we need to be in the defensive side of the game. Without the ball, I don't expect Carrick's team to chase endlessly. They're not going to continue to press and press all game long. I expect them to press when the opposition gives you a few chances, when there's a loose touch, when you can force the opposition down one side. But other than that, then I expect United to play out of that mid-block, obviously using that 4-4-2 shape. We're going to use that in the press as well, most likely. similar to what Darren Fletcher did, but there's no doubt now that the space in between the lines, the defence and midfield, definitely has to be more compact. What I'd expect from a Carrick team is keeping that 4-4-2 shape, the wingers coming in a little bit, so you're trying to force the opposition into wide areas rather than letting them play through the central areas. But United in defence now, we've been shambolic for a while. We're combining obviously the space that we've had in our setup with the personnel errors as well. Somehow, some way, Carrick does need to solve those issues if United are going to get anything out of this season.
Good luck.
I expect United's defensive line height to also be relatively high, obviously to try and keep the game compressed, trying to limit the spaces in between those lines. But obviously then you're running the risk of opposition finding the space in behind you. But that's something I think that Carrick risks in order for an exchange then for that territorial control. The main weakness that Carrick's Middlesbrough team had though was on the transition. As teams sort of worked his team out a little bit, realised that they liked the possession side of things, teams would often sit back and then play on the counter. And it was in transition then where Middlesbrough did start to really suffer under Carrick. So there's no doubt that United were going to need a better rest defence. We're going to need to be faster at counter-pressing. And then you need that clear protection then when the fullbacks do invert in that system. As you're going into that 3-2-5, your left back is expected to be very high up the pitch. Are you going to be able to cover him then in those transition moments? And that's something now that Carrick is going to have to work out. We're hoping that he's done that now. Obviously, after his stint at Middlesbrough, hopefully he's learned from those mistakes. Obviously, every system has a little bit of a risk-reward to it. So obviously, there's certain aspects of Carrick's system that has been hailed as very, very good. But also then there's certain weaknesses. But can you just limit those enough then to get your team really on the front foot in all aspects of the game? And that's going to be the real question mark now for Carrick at United. And the other issue for Carrick at Middlesbrough was largely that he became a little bit predictable. So can he do a little bit more adapting now, and can he go more direct when it's needed? Obviously not just being that team that consistently tries to play out from the back. Can we change our structure mid-game sometimes when it's needed? Can we sacrifice the control a little bit sometimes in order to get momentum back in the match? Trying to mix that sort of direct, classic sort of United style with that more controlled possession. I think that's been a struggle for a lot of United's managers in the past. I think Amorim was far too direct sometimes. That was an issue. So Carrick, we're expecting him to bring more control, but can you mix that sort of directness in? We see in the top teams now, the likes of Arsenal, Man City, they do it very, very well. Obviously at United, squad is not that good, but can you get those sort of aspects of the directness and control that's going to represent a very, very solid team? So there we are, guys. Carrick probably isn't going to bring a lot of fireworks to Old Trafford, but maybe some control and clarity amongst all the chaos is, maybe that's exactly what United need right now. But given obviously United's squad, the fans, the pressure that comes with that job at United, given the fact that he doesn't have a lot of time to implement a lot of those control tactics as well, there's a lot of question marks around obviously Carrick now at United, and he doesn't have a lot of time to get it right. There's also some question marks with United's squad and how he's going to set them up, because I've already mentioned Cunha tucking in from that left-hand side. The midfielders, do we have the tempo setters that Carrick really wants? Mino can do that job. Can Ugarte and Casemiro? There's doubts there. Can the centre-backs effectively play out from the back like Carrick will probably want them to? Can Lamens do that? Again, we just really don't know. So I'm really excited to see what the next few months are going to bring. I just hope that it's not more chaos, but knowing United, that's normally just around the corner. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll catch you in the next one.